Hello everyone, thank you very much for your attention here today. I'd just like to give you an update on where the state of emergency is for Christchurch and Banks Peninsula. We've decided to hang on to it and keep it going. We'll evaluate it tomorrow, and if things aren't looking too good, we'll go again, but at this stage it's still in place, definitely for Banks Peninsula, and at this stage just for Christchurch. I'd just like to thank all the community groups that have worked so well together. The communication we're getting from us out to them and them reciprocating back to us has been absolutely outstanding, and it's worked probably the best we've seen for some particular time. I'm so happy that the rain here in Christchurch has more or less stopped. The retention basins were well full, probably over full in some respects. So now that the river is dropping, Heathcote River is dropping, that enables us to start lowering these retention basins down. Otherwise, we had another big rain event, we could be in a bit of deep trouble. But I'd just like to welcome the Minister, Mark Mitchell, and Vanessa Winnick along and say thank you very much for showing the effort and coming down here, especially going to Selwyn yesterday, because Selwyn copped it big time. You know, we got a lot out in Horsell and Banks Peninsula way. Towards the north, sort of Papanui way, it was wet, but not as bad as over there. So it was good that the Minister could come down and spend some time around at the Operations Centre and see how well our Civil Defence and Emergency team is going. So it's very heartening. Minister, would you like to say a few?
Yeah, thanks, Phil. So, look, basically, it's really obvious that that the Mayor, the Chief Executive, the controllers, our first responders here in Christchurch have done an outstanding job, and the same in Selwyn. Both areas going into calling a local state of emergency. Today I was very lucky that we were able to get in the air and actually get around the Selwyn district. Obviously a lot of surface flooding, which is to be expected when you consider the amount of rain that we've had in the last 48 hours. We landed and we were able to visit with the community in Little River, and again I have to say that that community has been extremely resilient. They have been cut off. The good news is that they're now doing controlled movements out of Little River, so there is access in and out of there now, but those are controlled movements because there are still some floodwaters on the road, but they have done an outstanding job. And I just want to support the Mayor's comments around the community, because the best way that we can continue to strengthen our response and be resilient when we're dealing with these weather events is a whole of community response. And without a doubt, you've seen that we're able to get into the community today. The feedback and the confidence that they have in the council and their civil defence teams is very clear to see. And the good news is we can all see that, thankfully, the weather is starting to abate. Not out of the woods yet. There's still obviously parts of the community that are affected and remain affected. But I'm confident now with the weather starting to abate that we're definitely heading in the right direction. Any questions?
So how did the roads and the area look when you went on that flyover? So you primarily went over Selwyn and
yeah, it was primarily Selwyn, and then obviously up to, we specifically wanted to get into Little River because we were very conscious of the fact that they had been cut off, and obviously there is lots of surface flooding, and that has impacted some of the roads as well. It's difficult. I know that there's several roads that have been closed. They're closed for a reason, and that's quite simply public safety. The teams will work as quickly as they can to reinstate and get them back to a state where they are open. Like I said, they'll do that as quickly as they can, but they remain closed because it is quite simply a public safety issue.
Do we know got a sense of how many or if any houses have been damaged or have been inundated? Yeah,
so from the air, I was looking at that very carefully. You could see that the farmers, I think, have been very proactive, and they've moved their stock and done, so that I didn't see any stock that were distressed or caught in floodwaters. The houses themselves, I saw one house that had clearly looked like it had been inundated, but basically most of the houses looked pretty good from the air. Was that sort of your observation as well?
Selwyn Huts.
Selwyn Huts. So
lower Selwyn Huts.
Yeah, so the lower Selwyn Huts, without a doubt, have been impacted. The other half of Selwyn Huts were actually pretty good. The community there, the people that we'd spoken to, were very happy with the response and the support that they'd received from council, and they'd obviously been watching that river and monitoring that river themselves. They said that there was still plenty of capacity in that river, which was good to hear. Yeah.
Is there further support on its way from central government? If so,
what's the next step?
Yeah, so of course we will bring support in. Sam Broughton and Sharon, the Chief Executive, and Selwyn are going to have to work out what that looks like in the coming days. There'll be assessments around what has been damaged and whether or not there's any support required from central government. They'll bring that forward, and I'd expect the same thing with Phil and Mary and the team here.
Did you get a sense of where's the worst damage, where things look the most affected?
Well, it's hard to tell at the moment because the floodwaters haven't subsided. So in terms of damage to infrastructure, I know that we were talking about it before we came in. There's definitely been some roading infrastructure that's been impacted, but they're not main arterial routes. They're sort of more local access roads. But and there's been some geo work done on that this morning, but that information is still coming through.
And we've had some people raise concerns about the timing of the state of emergency in Christchurch. Phil Mauger, could you respond to that? Do you any regrets now that what you didn't call that earlier?
Oh, no, I think so. What we were going to, we actually weren't going to call it at all. And then we found out that yesterday at about 3 o'clock, the rain wasn't abating like we thought it would. And we thought, right, we'll throw this in there. The main thing is to do it while there's some hours of daylight and give people the assurance that we're there to look after them. But the main thing was that, say, down in these lower areas of the Heathcote River, where it's 300 mil deep flooding, the houses are okay because they're up above. But if someone had a medical event in the middle of the night, they know they can pick up the phone, civil defence and emergency, straight there, no plan around. So that was the main reason to do it. So, but the issues in Akaroa was with a few slips and stuff like that. That's a wee bit of a different story. So,
do you think you were aware of the extent of flooding on the likes of the Little River, or did that come as a surprise?
We always knew that. Well, Little River Road is a state highway, of course, but it's getting the water off the road and into Lake Forsyth is one of the issues, and we've got to maybe look at size of some of the culverts or how often they're cleaned out. That gets the water. The water on the road is higher than the water in the lake at that stage. It was, so it's a matter of getting it from there to there. So there was a few wee issues there that we've got to sort out. But
how happy are you with the way Canterbury's infrastructure, roads, stormwater retention ponds have held up? Has this weather event revealed any areas of concern?
No, as far as Christchurch is concerned, with that, we spent over 100 million, more than that, on retention basins in the upper Heathcote River, and they've worked extremely well. If rain had gone on for much longer, we would have been in deep strife, but it didn't. We're now, as the river recedes, we're opening the gates and letting them out, because normally all of those are dry all the time. So I'm very happy with the way things have gone, but I wouldn't have liked to see it rain for any longer.
Minister, what about the access way to Lake Ellesmere? Some people have said that maybe the Selwyn Council should have, or the Regional Council should have taken action earlier to try and let some of the water through that way. Have you got any feelings on that and whether they should have taken action?
Well, I mean, those are issues that I want to know about and understand what the issues are that are important to the community. I had a meeting today at the Selwyn District Chambers with ECAN, with the chairman of ECAN, and also members of the mana whenua there. It's very apparent that there was a lot of work and a lot of focus on how they manage Lake Ellesmere, and that and the fact that there was a request to put in to widen that access. All the information that they had in relation to that was what informed their decisions, and they're all united in the fact that that they've done the right thing and they've made the right decisions and they've done what they could in terms of managing that. But these are always sensitive issues when we have these weather events. I think that the reality is this. My observation is that we can have a major severe weather event, and some parts of a community might be affected, and others won't be. And so it's quite a fine judgment. Just because an area hasn't called it and put themselves into a local state of emergency doesn't mean that there hasn't been action taken. I think Waimakariri is a really good example of that. I caught up with Dan Gordon this morning, and I was talking to him right from the start of the weather events as they flowed through here in Canterbury. And although they didn't call a local state of emergency, they had stood up their emergency operations centre, and they're already proactively dealing with it. And so and my observations are, and I include Christchurch in this with this event, is that the mayors, the chief executives, our controllers, our civil defence teams are very proactive, and they get going quickly. So yeah.
Bill, Major, can I just ask you too, there's a number of those houses along the Heathcote River that are frequent areas that end up getting, if not flooded, at least the water is really high around those houses. Do you have any concerns about their long-term viability?
Well, no, you're quite right. We used to, before the earthquake, before everything sort of settled down and sort of sunk a bit, we had a lot of houses on Clarendon Terrace and Richardson Terrace. They were always our faithful ones that would always flood. Now they've been removed because of the earthquake and different things. But Hunter Terrace and the likewise of that I went to yesterday, the road is definitely low, but the house is at least, in most cases, a metre higher. Some garages have got garages under the house, and they got inundated, but generally the house is a lot higher. As you drive down, say, Burwood Ave, straight down into the river, and that's where it was bad. The other side of the river, which was Centurus Road, was about half a metre higher, and no problem whatsoever. So it's just those isolated bits. But the main thing is, we've got the retention basins holding it back. About 35 years ago, the council and the drainage board built a bypass called the Woolston Cut at the other end to get it quick out into the estuary, so we can get it out quick, and if we can hold it back, the bit in the middle will be saved a lot more.
Do you think there'll be further moves though now? Do you think there need to be more assessment whether there's more that needs to be done, or what will happen next?
No, I think the ponds that we've got have been more than capable. As more subdivisions come on, they build their own retention ponds, some of them, which will hold water back as well.
What can the people of Canterbury expect as the rain starts to ease, that we remain in a state of emergency over the next 24 hours from yourselves, local authorities and civil defence?
Joe Average really won't notice any difference. Is that fair to say? Yeah, I think the decision at the moment to remain in a local state of emergency is that one part of the community has been impacted heavily, and it's important that all the information is collected and understood in terms of what the risks are, and so there's been a decision to keep that local state of emergency in place, which is the right thing to do. And like I said to you, these are always difficult things to manage, because you can have big parts of the community that aren't impacted at all. We see the sun starting to come out and the floodwaters recede, but there's still damage that's been done, and it's important that we understand exactly what that is.
So those people that aren't Joe Average, those communities that are affected, what can they expect to see over the next 24 hours from civil defence local authorities?
They'll be able to see the constant, they'll be visible all the time. They can ring up and they'll be able to get anything done. So it's just how things change. Now, yesterday I was standing on the side of the river getting my feet wet, and I went down to exactly the same spot today, and the water is 1 metre lower. So instantly, a couple of tidal flushes, or just tide changes, we see a metre drop. So instantly it's better. This is in Christchurch, but fear not, if someone needs something, a la a slip, that'll be something that causes us grief on the Port Hills or over in Akaroa. That'll be the bit where they need to ring up and say, look, we're in strife here in civil defence. They're at the ready, and they'll go and help them.
It's clear farmers are particularly affected in this situation. What is being done to support them at this stage? Is there sort of specific efforts targeted at supporting farmers?
One of the roads that's badly affected over in Akaroa is called Lighthouse Road. There are 6 houses at the top of that. At the end of it, that road is impassable at the moment. It's just too dangerous to drive down it, because we feel there's a very good chance it may slip down the hill. We've talked to them. They're realistic. They know there's other ways that they can get down and out if they have to. They're not cut off totally. So we're working with them all the time. We've been to see them all today. We've seen, I think there's 3 houses at the moment who have been suggested to them, or might be 4, that evacuation at this stage until we get some more hands on the ground and know what this geotech's going to do on this slippery bit of dirt.
How significant an event was this for Christchurch?
I think it was 240 mils of rain in Akaroa, from what I'm told, and it's the 4th worst one we've had, or the worst one we've had in 50 years, something along those. It's been a biggie, that's for sure, and that's why I feel very confident that the systems we got in place. 6 years ago, we had no retention basins, and it would have been mayhem, right? So these things have all been built, and this is the first test for a lot of them, so it's worked very well.
Diana,
Thanks very much.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
guys.
Good on you,
Hey,
guys.
just, I wanted to wrap up just really quickly and say to you guys that when we have these local states of emergencies and events around the country, one thing that's become really clear to me is communication and getting communication out. And you guys have a critically important role to play in that in the media. So I do want to genuinely thank you for actually fronting up the media with us today. You know, even when we visited Little River, and it's